Type crisis pregnancy centers into your search bar. The results are startling. Instead of locations of crisis pregnancy centers appearing, article after article appears bashing them. They are called unethical, fake clinics, and providers of misinformation. The first article that came up for me was posted by the American Medical Association's Journal of Ethics and entitled "Why Crisis Pregnancy Centers Are Legal but Unethical" by Dr. Amy Bryant and Dr. Jonas Swartz. As I read, I was astounded. Accusation after accusation was thrown at crisis pregnancy centers. But amazingly, each accusation was actually true of abortion clinics. Now, let's consider why abortion clinics are legal but unethical. The American Medical Association, the AMA, claims crisis pregnancy centers don't comply with HIPAA, the act that protects patients' privacy. The hypocrisy of this statement was revealed by Ann McElhaney, the journalist who investigated Gosnell. Last fall, she spoke at the Pennsylvania March for Life and said that currently, in Gosnell's clinic, there is file upon file containing women's telephone numbers, addresses, and their number of abortions. Although it had been months since she reported the story, Pennsylvania's Department of Health still had not addressed the problem. The abortion industry and the Department of Health have no regard for HIPAA. The AMA says that despite crisis pregnancy centers posing as legitimate clinics, most are not even licensed. In the wake of Gosnell's exposure, Illinois Right to Life investigated their own state's abortion clinics. They found that none, not one of the 5 Illinois Planned Parenthoods, the nation's biggest abortion provider, were licensed by the state. Not only that, but of the 13 clinics that were licensed, almost 200 health and sanitary and life code violations were discovered. The report said clinics are leaving patients exposed to health complications, including infections requiring emergency treatment, complete hysterectomies, and/or death. Not only are many abortion clinics unlicensed, they don't even look like legitimate clinics. Crisis pregnancy centers should not need medical licenses, for they simply provide counseling, pregnancy tests, and connect women with resources. Abortion clinics, however, must be licensed, for they perform surgeries, and yet many aren't. The American Medical Association also claims crisis pregnancy centers don't abide by the 4 fundamental principles that are guides to medical practice. The 4 principles are beneficence, non-maleficence, respect for autonomy, and justice. The first 2, beneficence and non-maleficence, require that good is done for the patient and not harm. In the case of a pregnant woman, there are 2 patients, the woman and her child. Abortion kills the child. The mother suffers a 154% increased risk of suicide, 65% higher risk of long-term clinical depression, and a 5-fold increase in drug and alcohol abuse. One life is ended at abortion. The other is catastrophically altered. The third principle, respect for autonomy, ensures patients have the information to make an informed decision free of coercion. That's not how abortion clinics operate. A task force commissioned by the legislature of South Dakota in 2005 determined that there are many pressures and coercive forces and elements that render most abortions not truly voluntary. Even when patients start resisting and saying they've changed their minds, workers still do the abortion. The final fundamental principle, justice, secures a fair distribution of resources. The AMA claims that because crisis pregnancy centers do not provide abortion, they violate the principle of justice. But here, again, abortion clinics are the guilty ones. Not only do abortion clinics not provide alternatives to abortion, They deliberately keep women ignorant of their options. In I Lived on Parker Avenue, Melissa Coles said the abortion clinic workers put a blanket over her head and radios on each side of her to block out the noise of the sidewalk counselors. They refused to even let others provide abortion alternatives. Abortion clinics violate this principle. Therefore, by the 4 fundamental principles, by their unlicensed status, and by their violation of HIPAA, it is the abortion clinics which are legal but unethical. No medical facility should be unethical but still legal. We should close all clinics that don't comply with HIPAA. Close all clinics that pose as legitimate licensed clinics but are not. Close all clinics that don't abide by the 4 fundamental principles. All abortion clinics closed.